Okay, so solving polynomials by factoring. We've already talked about factoring polynomials, so that's going to be our first step. I have x cubed minus 7x squared minus 14x plus 98 equals 0. So I'm going to factor this, and there's 4 terms, so I'm going to factor by grouping. So I'll split it in half. The left side I can factor out an x squared, and I'm left with x minus 7. On the right side I can factor out a negative 14, and I'm left with x minus 7. My parentheses are the same, so that's good. So one of my factors is x minus 7. The other factor is the leftover x squared minus 14. We're asked to solve now, though. So I've factored it. So now to solve, and this is very similar to solving quadratics, you're going to set each of your factors equal to 0 and solve. So x minus 7 equals 0, so I'm going to add 7. So one of my solutions is x equals 7. Okay, I also have x squared minus 14, so I'm going to add 14. So I get x squared equals 14. Now I square root both sides, and I get that x equals plus or minus, since it's square root, of 14. So I have 3 solutions here. My first solution is 7. My second solution is the square root of 14. And my third solution is the negative square root of 14. I've got 3x cubed minus 3x cubed plus 4x squared minus 16x equals 8. I need my polynomial to equal 0, so I'm going to subtract 8 from each side. So I have 3x cubed plus 4x squared minus 6x minus 8 equals 0. Now I have 4 terms, so I'm going to split it in half. So the left side, 3x cubed plus 4x squared, I'm going to factor out an x squared, and I'm left with 3x plus 4. On the right side, I've got negative 6x minus 8, so I can factor out a negative 2, and I'm left with 3x plus 4. My parentheses match, which is good, so one of my factors is 3x plus 4. My second factor is the leftover stuff, so x squared minus 2. And now to go further, we're going to solve. So each one of our factors we're going to set equal to 0 and solve it. So 3x plus 4 equals 0. So subtract 4, and I get 3x equals negative 4. Divide by 3. So one of my solutions is x equals negative 4/3. I also have x squared minus 2 equals 0, so I'm going to add 2. So x squared equals 2. Then I square root both sides, and I get that x equals plus or minus the square root of 2. So I have 3 solutions here. I've got negative 4/3, positive square root of 2, and the negative square root of 2. I've got 3x to the 5th plus 18x to the 4th plus 27x cubed equals 0. This one's a little different because it only has 3 terms. So first I'm going to see, do these 3 terms have anything in common? So I can factor out a 3 out of all 3 and an x cubed. And when I do that, I'm left with x squared plus 6x plus 9. I need to see if I can factor further. So x squared plus 6x plus 9, factors of 9 that add up to 6 are 3 and 3. So I get 3x cubed, x plus 3, x plus 3. And now I factored completely. So my last step when solving is to set each one equal to 0. So 3x cubed equals 0. So first I'm going to divide by 3. So x cubed equals 0. I'm going to cube root both sides, and the cube root of 0 is 0, so I get that x equals 0. And I have x plus 3 equals 0, so I'm going to subtract 3, and I also get that x equals negative 3. So I only have 2 solutions here, but that's okay. So my 2 solutions are 0 and negative 3. And my last example, I have 6x to the 4th equals 54x squared. So I need to get everything over to one side, so I'm going to subtract 54x squared from both sides. So I have 6x to the 4th minus 54x squared equals 0. I can factor. So I have two terms. I'm going to see what they have in common. So I can factor a 6x squared out of both. And I'm left with x squared minus 9. I can continue to factor. X squared minus 9 is the same thing as x squared plus 0x minus 9. So factors of negative 9 that add up to 0 are 3 and negative 3. So this is 6x squared, x plus 3, x minus 3. So now I'm going to set each one of these equal to 0 and solve. So 6x squared equals 0, so divide by 6. So x squared equals 0, square root. So I get that x equals 0. Then I have x plus 3 equals 0, so I subtract 3, so I get x equals negative 3. And I have x minus 3 equals 0, add 3 to each side, and I get the x equals positive 3. So I have three solutions here, 0, negative 3, and positive 3. And that is it for solving quadratics by factoring. I'm sorry, not quadratics. That is it for solving polynomials by factoring.